I was hoping to come on here and give you a glowing report about my approval for my Mexican residency. But unfortunately, after spending an entire day at the Mexican Consulate in New Orleans, I walked away with a big fat denial. I honestly didn't even know if this was a good time to be going into New Orleans to work on my paperwork because there is a huge crackdown going on right now with ICE and immigration that are in New Orleans on this thing called Swamp Sweep. I guess that's the nickname for it, where their goal is to arrest 5,000 illegal immigrants. And, this area in particular, a number of those are going to be Mexican nationals. So for me to be going to the Mexican consulate in the middle of all this stuff happening right now, it just made me feel really bad going in there. And I think so many Mexican nationals in particular just perceive that anyone around them with white skin sees them a certain way and may turn them into the authorities. Race relations are bad, of course, right now, really, really bad. But in particular, if you are of Hispanic origin, it is very, very difficult for families right now. So I won't get into the politics of it all because that is not what this channel is about. But just suffice to say that it was a tough time, is a tough time right now in New Orleans, in lots of parts of the US, not just New Orleans, but in New Orleans right now, because there is this thing going on. And here I am going to the consulate of one of the countries that is being targeted in particular. So I didn't have any problems when I was there at all. People treated me very kindly. I made sure that I treated everybody with respect all around me, as I always would. But that was a factor that played into my even deciding whether to do this now or not. So my Mexican residency journey did not go as planned at all. I thought I was walking into the consulate fully prepared. I mean, I had spent at least a week probably filling out the application, getting the little visa size passport pictures taken. I had a binder with just all my ducks in a row. I had printed out 6 months of bank statements, just everything I could find online that they required. I had it ready, but I still left with a big fat no. But honestly, I knew it was such an eye-opening experience for me that I had to share it with you, especially if you're thinking about applying for residency in Mexico, because the whole process, let me tell you, it is not as easy as I've seen a whole lot of YouTubers make it sound. So today I'm taking you through what happened, what I learned, and what I'm going to be doing moving forward. Because yes, I still plan on moving abroad. A simple denial is not going to stop this girl. Before I jump into my story, let's go over the basics really quickly because Mexico has two types of residency. So let me go to the website real quick because I want to make sure I give you the correct information because it does change frequently. First of all, I had to pay a $54 cash payment and submit my pictures and all my thick list of documents that I had with me. But here's the requirements. First of all, temporary residency, which is what I was going for, which gives you 1 year, I believe, and then you can renew after that. So currently, the current requirement as of December 2025 says $4,167.67. That's the requirement that you have to make on a monthly basis for temporary residency. Why it's so high, I don't know, honestly, just because of the fact that you can live easily in many cities in Mexico, some for as little as $1,000 a month, but I would say $2,000 a month for a lot of people is plenty enough, substantial to live there. But for whatever reason, they have really upped the requirement as to what you need to make on a monthly basis for temporary residency. Let's see, what was I looking for? Or you can also show a bank account with approximately, I love how they use approximately, because this just shows you how it varies from one Mexican consulate to the next. So if you go to New Orleans like I did versus Atlanta or Houston or any other place, you're going to get a different story. So they are all a bit different. But this one says you must have $7,237.51 in savings to be able to apply for residency. Okay, so with that being said, I put this out of the way. I came with all that prepared, or I thought I had that prepared. with various ways of showing all of that. But I have self-employment as part of my financial statements. It wasn't as straightforward, for example, as someone who works for, let's say, Bank of America as an employee, and they come in and they just show their bank statements to show what they make on a monthly basis. Though, keep in mind, even if you do that, you have to show that your employer will allow you to work remotely. So you have to come with a letter from your employer stating that you can work remotely in Mexico. There's a lot of things that go into it. So if you do not have a remote job, you cannot count that income because obviously you're going to be losing that job when you go to Mexico. So you need to either have retirement savings, Social Security, or have a current job that can show that. I won't go into detail on what all I had to show, but I really thought I had it. I didn't have it in savings, but I had it in the monthly income amount. As you may hear from others, every consulate is different. So you never know which one you're going to get. Some are flexible and some are like the school principal who hates fun. Guess which one I got? Yep, that one. The day started off great. I had my whole day cleared to get this done. I was driving into New Orleans, so excited, thinking about this was going to be just one step on my journey and something that I could share with you as well. I had triple checked everything the night before. I had a binder full of everything and individual folders, just super, super organized. And so I got in there. And by the way, I took some great footage of this whole experience. Even I think a video I took before I left the house that day. I have no idea where it is. I cannot find it. So unfortunately, this may be a little bit boring because I don't have as much B-roll as I would have liked to have shared with you. But anyways, I checked in, sat down, waited for my turn, and then a woman finally called me up. She took my paperwork and looked it over, started flipping through everything for, I don't know, it felt like 30 seconds. It was probably a little bit longer, but she looked through it all and then she just looked at me and said, "No, this doesn't qualify." I explained that I'm self-employed and I have rental income and it's all documented, but she said that she couldn't accept my documentation because self-employment fluctuates, rental income is not always accepted, and the documentation was not in the format that they needed, which she didn't explain what format that was. And I swear this is the same format that other Mexican consulates use. But as I've said before, different consulates, different rules. So after spending an entire day of getting ready, driving over an hour to get there, and sitting there for most of the day and running back and forth to Kinko's to print off all the stuff that I thought was going to get me approval, I walked out with nothing. Not even a sticker for my effort. So here's the real reason I was denied. And I want to share this with you because I want to save you from going through the same things that I went through. If you're self-employed, some consulates will not accept your income unless you prove it through tax returns. Some consulates do not count rental income at all. Some officers want to see your savings sitting in a bank account untouched for 12 months. And finally, every consulate has its own interpretation of the rules. New Orleans in particular is known for being strict. But hey, I had to learn the hard way. So after getting denied, I sat with it, took a deep breath, and said, okay, what happens now? One option would be to use the proceeds on the sale of this house to use the financial solvency route where you have to show money in your savings account. But the problem with that is it has to sit there for 12 months. So I'd have to sit and wait 12 months to be able to prove that I have that money in my savings account. Not the best option. The other option is to go ahead and just go to Mexico after I sell my house on the standard 180-day entry visa, the 6-month option. With that one, I can stay there for 6 months, enjoy life, and go from there. Actually, I already know I'm going to be coming back next year for either Thanksgiving or Christmas. So it would work out just fine to be able to do something like that. So totally doable. And the third option is to start slow traveling, which was actually my long-term dream anyways. This one actually got me excited again. I've been wanting to get out and slow travel again for years, ever since I went backpacking in my 20s through Mexico, Central and South America. I've been wanting to do that again. So that was my original idea with moving to Mexico, was to be close to be able to travel through those countries. And then there's a lot of other places I want to visit too. I really want to go visit Southeast Asia. There's some great places I want to visit in Western Europe. So maybe this is pushing me along to go ahead and start doing that sooner rather than later. I'd also like to get out and look at visa options in some of the other countries in Central America in particular. Panama, which was listed #1 as the best place to retire in the world this past year. One of the reasons for that, I think, is that it only requires $1,000 in income on a monthly basis. And so it's just a lot more feasible for people. And on top of that, it's a beautiful, beautiful country. But I haven't been there in many years, so I'd love to visit that again. And finally, fun fact, I was actually born in Colombia, South America. So I have dual citizenship, and I've thought often of going back there and maybe spending some time there as well. It just requires I have a very expired passport. So I need to go to my nearest place, I believe, is Galveston or Houston. I think it's Houston, Texas. I would need to plan a little road trip and get my paperwork together to go over there with my expired passport to go ahead and get that renewed for Colombia to make it easier for traveling in and out of there. And I can use that also for Central South America. I can travel on my Colombian visa versus my American visa. So lots of options. What I originally thought was just, crushing my dreams of moving to Mexico on at least a 1-year visa where I wouldn't have to think about moving so soon. This has really opened my eyes up to really some of the things that I really rather do anyways. It would have been nice to not have to be pushed to do this, I guess. But overall, I am really excited at these new possibilities. And because of the shoulder surgery and various things, my date is getting pushed back a little bit to summer of 2026 instead of beginning of 2026 of moving to Mexico. So it gives me a little bit more time to look at these different options and plan a little bit better for where I'm going to go. So honestly, the denial opened a door that I didn't even realize I wanted to walk through yet. So was I disappointed? Absolutely. But you know what? After I had some time to think about it, I realized this might actually be the best thing that could have happened. Sometimes life directs you not to stop you, but to kind of guide you towards something better. So that's my residency story and my residency denial. If you're planning to retire abroad or move overseas after 50, please learn from my experience. Double check your consulate, double check your requirements, and always have a backup plan. And if you have the option of going to 2 consulates, oh my gosh, that cat. Sorry, that's a kitty in the litter box digging their way to China in the back. Oh my goodness. What was I going to say? Oh, if you have the option of 2 different consulates, for example, that are within driving distance, definitely do your research. It really, I think, is worth it. If you can find out from watching other videos on people that have been there or looking at reviews, there may be one that's a lot more lenient than the other that's going to give you a better chance of getting approved, especially if you're in a situation like mine where it's not quite as clear cut with your finances. So that would be my suggestion. Because the truth is, moving abroad isn't just an adventure, it is a process. And sometimes your journey may take a little detour. If you've ever had a visa or residency difficulty, I'd really love if you would share it down in the comments. It could really help me and others. Make sure you stick around for more videos in my series about getting ready to move abroad. Thank you for being here and thank you for your support as I continue to heal from this shoulder surgery. And as always, take care of yourselves and I will see you on the next one. Bye for now.